The Seattle Seahawks were slated to be the worst team in the NFC West entering the season, with the most they could hope for was a top 5 pick. But don't tell the Seahawks that's how they're supposed to be. Led by a Hall of Fame coach and a 12th man that will never back down, Seattle Seahawks earned a chance of winning the NFC West, and it's going to be a fun ride to the finish here. So we're going to be talking with Madonna Hanna here, lifelong Seattle fan, very avid, and what got her into her Hawks life was her late husband, who had 2 students he taught who had become Seahawks when it was all said and done. Zach Dixon was a Hawk in the early 80s, and Marcus Trufant, part of the Legion of Boom, making things happen. So let's dive into this year's version of the Seattle Seahawks. Welcome to Local Football Flavor, where we talk to local fans to get the real information of what's going on with their team. So welcome, team players, and this is going to be fun. There's no way around this one. So it's up to you, Madonna. Where do you want to start this? A lot of directions. No, we're at some point going to have to talk about that Vegas game, but where do you want to start?
Let's start with you acknowledging my late husband in the introduction. Okay. What are the odds that decades apart that he would have 2 students who would wind up on the Seahawks? My husband and I are originally from Massachusetts, the Boston area. Mm-hmm. And my husband was actually Zach Dixon's counselor. And when we moved out here to Seattle in the early 80s, well, one day we find out that Zach Dixon was playing for Baltimore at the time, traded to Seattle, and my husband was, of course, very excited. He called the Seahawk organization to talk to Zach, which, you have to leave a message, but when you're excited, and Zach did call him back, and Zach said, "Is this Steve from Boston?" Because here you are, you're from the East Coast, you're now in the West Coast, which is a whole different world. Yes, it's a whole different world. And to have someone that you know from home, and that turned out to be, that 83 season turned out to be an exciting season for the Seahawks, who actually wound up in the playoffs, but nobody knew at the beginning of the season. And we just, thought it was because of Zach. But one of the high points that I want to share as a special memory was, of course, first, Zach, saying my husband was from home. It was, and I don't remember what game it was, but Seattle had one of those weird mathematical things that had to happen. The moon had to be over here and Mars had to be over there. No, truly, it was one of those really big kind of odd things that had to happen. And the Seahawks won and all these other people lost. And there was the announcement in the Kingdom at the time that, well, the Seattle Seahawks are in the playoffs, and the Kingdom was rocking. That's when we used to do the wave. I mean, that place was rocking. And all of a sudden, we're doing the wave. And I saw Zach in like his sports underwear or whatever, that underwear that they wear under their uniforms. Mm-hmm. He had, I guess, run out of the locker room and he was standing in the field and he was looking because, we had, he had gotten tickets for us. So he kind of knew where we should be. And he was like looking. And I said to my husband, "Steven, Zach's looking for you. He's looking for you." And then my husband jumped up and he waved his arms. And then Zach looked up at him and spread his arms. And it was such a wonderful moment because here Zach is with somebody from home, who is able to share that moment with them. And just, that was just an incredible sports moment. Sure, and yeah. The Hawks had to play Miami. And Miami was like, shoot, yeah, the Hawks. And the fans were like, shoot, we're not buying any tickets. We're not wasting our money. The Hawks beat Miami. It was a big upset. And then the team they played next was the Raiders. The Raiders beat them, but I'll tell you, it was one heck of an unexpected ride. And when you know someone, who's on the team, you're right in that excitement with them. And I'll tell you something that I did that I'd never done before in my life. You know how you guys, sports fans are just out of their head, but you're all connected. You're all one. We were at a stoplight, and we had stopped at McDonald's, and I had some fries in my hand, and we were at a red light, and it was, you look over the other car, yay, yeah, we're going to the playoffs. And the guy in the car next to me says, can I have some fries? And I said, sure. And I put my arm out the window, and he took fries out of my face. And I'm thinking, I don't know where his hands have been, but no, when you're out of your mind with that kind of excitement, you do stupid stuff,
Oh, yeah.
But we were so caught up. And then decades later, Marcus Trufant, who was in my husband's 4th grade class at McCarver Elementary School. Wow. He was a good student, got along well with my husband. And then later when he went to, when he became a Cougar, and then was drafted into the NFL, we are in Western Washington. And at the time, the Seahawks were in Cheney, Washington. Like, oh my God, this state is so long. It takes 5 or 6 hours to drive across the state. And I'm thinking back east from Massachusetts, 5 or 6 hours, we're in your state, Pennsylvania, we've gone through quite a bit of scenery, but here it's like, oh, we're still in the same state. But anyway, we went to Cheney to watch, the team preseason practice and all this sort of thing. And I remember Marcus looking up, and he saw my husband, and he said to one of the players, it's Mr. Hanna from home. And I thought about Zach, that moment, that connection. It's Mr. Hanna from home. And I'm thinking, this guy has just signed this huge multi-million-dollar contract. He's making more money than my husband, who was teaching at the time, will ever see in his life. And there's that special moment. It was Marcus back in the 4th grade again, and looking up, and how his face just lit up. It's Mr. Hanna from home. And then later that day, he was interviewed about, well, you're a rookie. How's everything going? And he said, I saw Mr. Hanna, my teacher from home. And it was such a special moment. It's such a special moment. And for all those teachers that are out there, yes, we don't make millions and millions and millions of dollars, but there were those special moments like that, those special unscripted moments, when your student, it really doesn't matter if they're on a huge stage, because the NFL is a huge, huge stage. But just that moment of, wow, there's my teacher from home, somebody I can connect with, because I'm out here in Cheney, or I'm, a long way from Boston. But that's the Seattle connection, the Seahawk connection, because, I think I told you before, Joe, that of course, Boston, the Patriots. And at the time we lived in Boston, it was the Boston Patriots, who later became the New England Patriots. But their nickname for a while was the Boston Patsies. Oh, those of you out there who are old enough to remember, yes. Yeah.
That's quite the journey. That is
Yeah, it is from the Boston Patsies out here to the Seahawks. But the team I followed at the time was the Miami Dolphins because they were doing way, way better. And
Yeah.
and I do remember the perfect season for the Dolphins, 1972. And I remember the next year when the Dolphins played. The New England Patriots. And it was like, who cares about the Patriots? We want to see the Miami Dolphins. And I remember all these Patriot fans who were standing outside of the Miami Dolphins bus, and they were all yelling, "Show the ring, show the ring, show the ring." And I remember Larry Zonka, he happened to be wearing a Super Bowl ring. He just put it up to the window. And we were like, yeah. That's how weird fans are. It's like we just want to see what a Super Bowl ring looks like. And as I was saying to you before, Joe, how different the fans are from the East Coast to the West Coast. I mean, wow. I mean, yes, who cares about the Patriots? We're looking at this perfect team coming in, and we want to see a ring. And it was just nice for Larry Zonka, at least, to he's there like, yeah, been there, done that. Look at it, we're such pathetic Patriot fans, but yes.
It's
So
always fun like that, though. Like when you have those fan moments and you're able to connect with people. I mean, I know Joe and I, we've been on a couple of trips, and one time we were in Cincinnati, and there was a guy in Cincinnati. So at the time, Wiz Khalifa had that song "Black and Yellow" that came out.
Yes.
And he was very much tied to Pittsburgh and coming out with a lot of songs about Pittsburgh and things like that, even though he was from Florida. And just those ties. And we were coming out of the Cincinnati parking garage that we parked in. And the Steelers beat the Bengals, and it was just, a normal Steelers-Bengals game at that point in time. This was a couple years back. And we were ready to sit in traffic for about 3 hours on the turnpike. Well, we hear this guy bumping Black and Yellow in a black and yellow, low rider car. And we go, "Pittsburgh, Black and Yellow." And he goes, and he let us through, saved us like 3 hours.
Easily.
No lie. And it's just those little things, those little things that make it worth being a fan. And you're like, this is amazing. Yeah. Like those stories that you shared were just like the true fan experience. Those are what every fan wants to have.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? I just remembered that Franco Harris.
Yeah, he ended over there.
Yes, because Franco Harris was up here for a hot second when good old Chuck, who coached for Buffalo Bills, right, became our coach. And we're like, oh, we are big time now because we got ground Chuck, as our coach. And then, I remember watching. I watched Pittsburgh quite a few times, of course, because they played the Patriots. And yes, Terry Bradshaw got on my nerves. Yeah, I didn't like Terry Bradshaw.
That's gonna happen.
But yeah, I thought that his wide receivers made him, but that's just me, because he would put that ball.
You're right.
And up they would fly, and then when they would come down, somebody was waiting, to take out their legs or whatever. And I remember, the big play, the immaculate conception, like what? And then Franco became this big Italian stud,
Speaking of Franco, I met him while he was playing bocce ball at Little Italy Days that we have. He was like a guest. And I was like, can I grab your picture? He's like, yeah, sure, man. That's totally cool with me. And I'm like,
yes,
oh, this is great.
Yes, he's just this really neat guy. And I had a chance to run into him, after the game. And, he was standing there and boy, that's one good looking guy, and there were just people all gaga around him. And I don't know, maybe it was just my professional background in me or something. But I walked over to him and I said, "Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Thank you." That's what I always say.
That's that teacher in
customer
you.
service in me. Good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Welcome to Seattle. And he looked down at me because he's huge. And he looked down at me like, like he was not expecting that, because everybody's like, Franco, hey, and I just said, good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Welcome to Seattle. And he was just stunned. Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
I
we
can't
forget
even remember
sometimes
him
that
saying
they're people.
anything.
Yeah.
He was just, and then off I went,
It's wild. Like, athletes are people. So, I mean, like, it's fun, like, hearing stories like that, because sometimes we forget. I mean, there are people that make billions of dollars and millions of dollars doing things that athletically challenge people like myself only dream about. But like, it's those little things. This, like, it catches them off guard whenever you meet somebody and they're just like, "You're treating me like a normal person. Like, I haven't just made like all this money and won these Super Bowl rings. Like, sure, I'll have a drink with you. Why not?"
Sure. And I was just giving him his respect, because I was just, I don't know, just, sure, if I said, "Hey, Franco, welcome to Seattle," and, but I just, good afternoon. And his brain cells froze like, the heck's this?
Yeah, it's pattern interrupt. Those things work. Those things work very well.
Sit down for a deal or something? Do I owe this person money? Out of the blue, good afternoon, Mr. Harris. Like,
He's like,
uh-oh.
What does she want?
Exactly.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
Yes.
why don't we dive in here to a little bit more recent, not all the way recent.
Love it.
But we're talking Seattle here, and obviously, I think part of the reason you guys don't get enough credit for is y'all got a Hall of Fame coach right now, and there's no way around that. Pete Carroll certainly is that, but you also can't bring up Pete Carroll being a Hall of Fame coach without someone within the first 36 seconds yelling, "Well, why didn't he give the ball to Marshawn?" So let's get the elephant out of the room. Talking Pete Carroll.
Elephant will
and
stay
for the
in
record,
room.
I am one of the very few people in this country that actually thinks it was a good idea to throw that ball, rather than not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
I watched the game with him. And he said it right away. And I said, "Are you
No.
crazy?"
And he's
Here's
still
why.
alive?
It is second down. There's 24 seconds left, and they only had one timeout. And fundamentally speaking, 2 plays are better than 1. And if you run that ball there, the Patriots are going to literally just lay on Marshawn Lynch if he doesn't get in, and you're going to be forced to kick a field goal. If you throw the ball and your pass is going to result in one of 2 things, an incomplete pass or a touchdown, it's essentially a free play. And they had run that play, I believe it was 14 times prior to that in the regular season. 11 times it was a touchdown, 3 it was incomplete. So mathematically speaking, I actually think giving the ball to Russell Wilson was a good idea.
Your logic is sound, but we're fans. Marshawn Lynch was hot.
Don't get me wrong. There's nothing I want more than Tom
went
Brady
to
not
him.
to win. I mean, that's my favorite thing on the planet is watching him lose. But
because here's the thing, and correct me if you feel like I'm speaking incorrectly here, but there would have been no complaints from the fan base if he would have gave the ball to Marshawn Lynch, because Marshawn was so hot that year and so explosive that if you would have given him the ball, there would have been no heat on anybody on that team, not on the coach or anything. But because he didn't, that he, like, the analyst might have said, "Oh, he could have thrown the ball," like you said, but the heat would have been off because Marshawn was the guy. And because he didn't get the ball, that is forever going to mar Pete Carroll's career. Forever. It's not going to come off the record books.
Yeah, I'm just saying, everyone remembers it because they lost in that second. Tom Brady don't lose in overtime.
Well, let me just jump in here. Somebody who was living through that moment.
Yeah. I was living to see Tom Brady lose. Don't get me wrong. I was as green as it could be that day.
I understand that. I understand that. And this is how it was from my point of view. And my husband and I were watching. When Tom Brady sat down, the Patriots were ahead, and it was like, oh gosh, they've done it again. Okay, yeah. We were pretty much resigned that the Patriots were going to win, because when Brady sat down, it was like, yeah, we got this. And I'm sure everybody thought that. And then when Russell threw that deep pass down to Kirsch, and Kirsch caught it, it was like, whoa.
We're back in this thing.
But shoot, there's still life. And I remember the camera cutting over to Brady, because Brady was sitting there and Brady went, what? Because he thought his work was done and it was in the bag. But I always remember his face like, what? Oh, what? Because there's nothing Brady could do. The clock's ticking. There's nothing that he can do. And, we're all like, we've got life. We've got life. And then, all the air's charged and everything. And here we are. And, that first down, okay. And then that second down. And I'm thinking, okay, Marshawn is going to get the ball. The defense knows Marshawn is going to get the ball. Beast mode knows that they know, but he's up for it. He's hot. He is going to use all of his might. Because he was just, that game when they killed New Orleans and the beast mode, the place was shaking.
That game.
That's what we all had in their head, because we knew Marshawn, second down, Marshawn is going to fight for it. He was going to fight for it. And that's what you want. Everybody's piling on you, but you keep moving forward. And then it didn't happen. Russell that just reared that arm back, and the interception.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear a pin drop. We're just stunned. I'm still stunned now. It was like, and there it went. Why? Why would you throw the ball? You're so close to the goal line. What are you doing throwing the ball? What are you doing throwing the ball? Joey, what are you doing throwing the ball down there that close to the line when the game is on the line? What are you doing throwing the ball down there like that?
And the worst part about it was they were coming off a Super Bowl win.
Yes.
And you'd been there, and they had been to the Super Bowl. I mean, they faced the Steelers. The Steelers beat them. What was it, back in like the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, somewhere in there?
Yes.
Where the Zebras were really involved in that game a lot. But
yes,
back to that game, like that could have been the trajectory of the Seattle Seahawks will forever be tied to that play.
To that, you're right.
This generation of Seahawks fans, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, but at least they were able to recover. Atlanta has never recovered.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That was that was, I'll get back to Atlanta, but let me just finish my thoughts about why Marshawn didn't get the call.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, if he had, he would have been the MVP. He would have been the MVP. And I'm thinking that because Marshawn would not talk to the press, remember, he wouldn't talk to the press.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Okay. I'm thinking that he didn't get the ball because he might refuse as MVP to talk to the press.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking.
That's conspiracy level stuff right there.
I love that.
Well,
That's a great
but
pick.
wait a minute. But from my point of view of somebody having a background in public relations, that's my background, public relations. That's my theory, and you guys know that that's true. You know that Marshawn would not talk to the press, and if he becomes MVP, there's that chance he's not going to talk to the press, which might be, a slight embarrassment, but what we got instead. But, so that was running through my mind too, that I'm not going to say that was one of the reasons why, but why wouldn't it not be a reason? Food for thought.
I can see it though.
You just gave the classic definition of a known unknown.
Yes, exactly.
The thing about that I think is so interesting is that every single time he made like a phenomenal play that year, and even that game where he just, I call him Beast Mode Skittle Shoes, right? That was my team name in fantasy football one year, where he was just crushing defenders that bounced like a pinball off of people in that playoff game. I still remember it to this day. And the fact that it was so hot, and coaches and they tend to sometimes, I think, outthink themselves. A lot of coaches,
especially with the extra week,
overanalyze, overthink things. And I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, where, a lot of overthinking was happening. But in the respect of this theory here, I like it because that would totally be something that he would do. He might even refuse the award because he was that
I don't want to talk to Jim Nantz
about authority, and he didn't want anything to do with
exactly.
I could see Pete Carroll be like, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to deal with this afterwards. I'm not dealing with this. I'm just going to throw the ball. We've been good throwing the ball all game. I'm just going to do it. It's going to be fine. I'm not going to worry about it." And now he's worried about it.
Sure.
Yeah, because there's one thing Russell Wilson can do is he can handle a PR.
And he did. And I will, because I have my certain feelings about him, but I will always give him credit for that, for his interview, for the post interview. And the following year, when and I believe it was it the following year or a few years after that? It was when it was Peyton Manning's last.
When Cam Newton lost, and it was the worst taking credit for it ever. It was like it was the next year because it was the exact opposite of how Russell Wilson did it.
Yes. Yeah. Cam Newton. First of all, when the ball was fumbled, he should have fallen on it. But I think he said, well, he didn't want to break his leg or whatever or something. The ball, he's like, no, you're going to be taken care of. Go ahead, break your leg. You've got an off season. You guys heal quick, because we could all see that the ball's fumbled and he hesitated. He didn't go after the ball. And then Denver came in and, of course, won. And then he pouted. He pouted. He would not, be interviewed after the game. And just me having managed people and taught other people's teenage kids. And when you're, I'm sorry, but when you were in charge, it's like back in the day when your kid did something wrong and your parents had your child apologize, to the person that they did the damage to, and listen, to mow your lawn for the next 6 years, clean the garage, whatever. But I really thought, what do you call them? Riverboat, Rivera, whatever. I thought he should have said, you will come out here and you will be interviewed, because I believe he had already been selected MVP or something, the best player for the NFL. He already had some kind of title coming in. You guys can refresh my
He was
memory.
like MVP before, yeah.
Okay, he was player of the year. No. And if memory serves me correctly, his following season, the defenses went after him unmercifully. Right? Yes, because they will get you back for embarrassing them. Player of the year. And I really thought that his coach should have said, you come here, you sit down, you do this. You're getting paid an awful lot of money. There's kids watching you. People are watching you. People are watching us around the world. You represent us. This is not about you. You take this interview. You man up and do it. You can tell the emotion in my voice.
I
got it.
I really thought thought that Rivera dropped the ball there, and that was his responsibility to make sure that Cam Newton did, and then he made excuses for him. What the heck are you making excuses for? This grown man making more money than we'll ever see.
I was just gonna say that.
Why are you making excuses for this spoiled man child? And then that's when the comparison.
That was Cam Newton's ultimate flaw too. He was a spoiled man child.
Yes. And then when you compare him to Russell, who the game was on the line, we were right there. We had a 50-50 chance. When Brady sat down, we just thought, it's over. They won. But then we had life. We had another chance. Okay, we're going to have to live with the call forever. But, you just have to man up and say, yep, it's on me. Yes, this isn't the ending that I wanted. And this is how this is how it is. This is how it is. But so I will give Russell credit for that.
Fair. Well, we're going to do a commercial break here on
break, Joe. An interesting statistic related to Russell Wilson. I follow a guy on TikTok who is tracking Russell Wilson's touchdown passes and is comparing them to how many bathrooms that Russell Wilson has in his house. Currently, the bathrooms are winning. Russell Wilson has neither taken away a bathroom nor added a bathroom, and he still, at this time in the season, has not reached his total number of bathrooms yet.
On that note, we're going to be talking about the Seattle Seahawks as now and starting with that Russell Wilson game. This episode is sponsored by the podcast Father and Joe. Father and Joe aims to bring individuals into a better relationship with God. Each episode discusses an element of the human experience that we all can relate to, as well as questions about faith. What are indulgences? What's going on with purgatory? Why can I mentally grasp the concept of God, but I don't feel him in my heart? During each episode of Father and Joe, we are invited to enhance our relationships, and in doing so, we will improve ourselves and society. Download Father and Joe every Tuesday. So we thank you for watching this episode of Local Football Flavor. We know there's a lot of different things you can be doing with your time, so we appreciate you either listening or watching us in whatever way you're digesting us here today. So we here at the episode want to try to request helping us out in one of three different ways, because all three ways will help us. First is the analytics. If you can either click like or subscribe on whatever platform you're watching us on, it makes a tremendous difference, as those algorithms kind of control what our popularity will be, and you, our listeners, are the only one that can help us win those analytics games. So by clicking like and subscribe, it makes a tremendous deal for us, and leaving reviews and comments help tremendously as well. So that's what we ask you as a listener to do. If you're interested in the show, you'd like to be a guest on the program, please reach out to us. We love talking to people, and it's our conversation about your favorite team, letting people know what's really going on that the national media normally misses. So we would love to have those conversations with you. And the third way is the sponsors. As you've noticed, we've already had some sponsors reach out to us here. You can see one down here in the corner. You can easily be in the scroller along the bottom, having your own personal message, as well as all other fun things like controlling the jersey I'm going to wear, or that little teddy bear behind me can be one of your team logos things. You can make me wear a stupid cheese head if that's what you want to do. All of those things are available by reaching out to us at localfootballflavor@gmail.com. We thank you guys very much for being a part of the show. And now let's resume to today's episode. So yeah, entering into the season, I mean, Russell Wilson was the story, right? He's basically the best homecoming queen that walked away, and you guys were supposed to be left holding nothing except for a future first-round pick in the top 5. And week 1, he actually delivered on that. So let's go through the experience of what is this season's Seattle Seahawks.
Well, let me start off by saying I really thought the Seahawks should have let him go 2 years ago, because to me, that's when I started to see there's something wrong with Russ. His plays were, I mean, he looked to me like he was distracted or something else was going on, because there might be a receiver just open, but he'd throw the ball to somebody else. I mean, he just seemed off. And other Seahawks fans said, now, Madonna, the offensive line is not holding for him, and he's getting hit a lot. And so it's not Russ, it's the offensive line. And I'm thinking, no, I've managed people, and you know, and I know when people are goal directed, come on, let's go, let's get this, let's do this. And I know when people become distracted and their head isn't in the game because it's somewhere else, you know. And then, you know, when he was on the team another year, and then, you know, he was starting to whine, and he was starting to whine 2 years ago about, well, maybe I want to go someplace else. And it's, oh, no, don't go anyplace else. We love you. You took us to the Super Bowl twice. You know how fans are, you know. And then, you know, I think, let him go. Actually, I wanted Herbert. I wanted Seattle to pick up Herbert. I said, why don't you get him? He's young. He doesn't have the big ego yet. Because remember, Herbert, he was, you know, he was just kind of sitting there, and the very first game, hey, I'm starting, you know, and I'm looking good here. And I thought, why don't we get him? But anyway, and then when I found out he was going to Denver, I thought, why is he going to Denver? Denver wasn't in the playoffs. I mean, you know, like, why, you know, if you're going to help a team, you know, to go to the Super Bowl, go to a team where, you know, they've got something going, and boom, you come in, you are the piece that's taking them to the promised land. And so I was just kind of off about that, but okay. He's in the land of Orange Crush, you know, John Elway and stuff, you know. And I thought to myself, you guys wait. You wait. Russell's gone Hollywood. You know, in his off time, oh, we're over here with Sierra doing this, and we're over here. He's trying to be, this is just my words. He's to me, he's trying to be something he's not. He's trying to diversify. He's trying to be like Beyonce and Jay-Z, or maybe Serena and her husband, you know, those type of celebrities that have successfully diversified themselves. Oh, well, maybe he's going to play for the Raiders so Sierra can, you know, play Vegas and all this kind of thing. And I'm just like, this, you know, something's not tracking here. And then, yeah, you know, he gets this huge contract with Denver, and yeah, let's see what's what. And we have seen what's what. He's the same guy that he was when he left Seattle. It wasn't the offensive line. It wasn't Pete, you know, because Pete got a lot of heat, you know, let Russ cook, you know, and to me, Russ wanted to be the general manager in Seattle. Well, I want this person and I want that person. And he went through a lot of quarterback coaches or, offensive coaches, but now people can see the truth. Russell's off his game. He is, what are they? They're in the bottom,
they have like 3 wins.
Yes.
Yeah,
In fact, when he went to that division, I'm thinking, oh gosh, he's in there with Kansas City. And plus the Raiders were looking good at the time, at the beginning of the season. We were saying, oh, this division is going to be a fight. Russell is going to have to bring his A game. Because at the beginning of the season, it looked on paper, this looked like a strong division. But I think, you guys are living in the land of the strong divisions out there on the East Coast. The AFC is really strong. We know Kansas City's going to walk away, in Russell's division, but this is not how I think people thought things were going to shake out in that.
Oh, I thought it was going to shake out. I put a bet on them to come in last in that division, and it's paying.
Yeah, it's
although I need Vegas to get it together a little bit. That'd be nice, but
well, and it was like, oh, Seattle's not going to be able to do a thing. We're just writing them all off, and then next thing you know, sure, we had that first game against Denver on Monday night, the Fates, and we beat Denver, and then, we lost the next week. And it's like, that was it for them. That was it for the Seahawks. But Gino just got himself together, and he's getting rid of that ball really fast, and he's in command. And yes, we had a couple of blips with Brady over in Germany. And, they talked about the field, but the field's the same for everybody.
That's
right. Everybody had to play on that messed up field over in Germany. So, and then, yes, we lost a game against Vegas. We should not have lost because looking down the road, there's going to be a dogfight down there. And the 49ers are looking really good. I think that Seattle will sneak into the playoffs. I think that they will. Nobody expected them to be there. And I think that I'm going to say they have a shot at the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl because there's too many teams out there. But I think they're going to make a good run in the playoffs, and nobody even expected that. Now,
yeah, that's absolutely true. Like Gino got the jet stink off of him, which is really hard to do.
Yes.
So, but look at the macro sense of the NFC right now. Seattle's in the 8th seed, and all 3 of the wild card teams are in the NFC West. All 3 of the wild card teams are. That is mathematically impossible because there's too many division games where they have to play each other. So someone's going to lose them. And there's no way all 4 teams in that division are going to be in the playoffs. My personal hope is the Cowboys be the one to fall out because that would just be awesome. I just love watching the Cowboys implode. Them and Miami. Those are the 2. I know Miami's going to implode. I'm not sure the Cowboys are going to. I just want them to. But that being said, I do think Seattle's going to be in it because, as we were saying before, we are only one inevitable transaction of Run CMC getting hurt because he always gets hurt, and Seattle, and the Niners hurting another running back, which they always do. So that team without McCaffrey isn't going to do anything. It's a very good defense.
I want to bring,
but they ain't going to beat Seattle. And I'm amazed you guys let that running game happen against you.
So here's the deal. So I don't know if you caught that Seattle game. Or not Seattle game, the Niners game. I was looking at this. I was looking at the stats and the the reports coming out of that game.
Defense good.
The defense is carrying them. McCaffrey's already hurt.
That's right.
Some knee contusion. That is why they're using both the running backs. So now they're going to be starting.
Mitchell was healthy for about a quarter and a half.
They're going to be starting another back. Jimmy G had a good game a couple weeks ago. But here's the thing. Seattle can still win that division. I'm not even talking about them sneaking in the playoffs.
Oh, I think they are going to win the division.
I'm saying I think they're going to win the division because Arizona, despite Marquise Brown coming back, there's still a lot of issues with Arizona.
Yes.
And if we look at Joe, can you pull up Seattle's schedule really quickly?
Yes, let's do that because
let's see if we can pull this up here real quick.
Because if they had beaten the Raiders like they should have, I think that would have helped them a lot because they've got some dog fights coming up. They've got some
and that was the part that amazed me, that they were able to run on you guys, because under Pete Carroll, you guys were pretty good about shutting down that run, and that was the part that really kind of threw me off. Because yes, Josh Jacobs, he's having an amazing season. He's on fire.
Yeah, he's hot.
But
he's hot. But he should have been that hot.
Nothing going for him
to do something.
Man, absolutely nothing going.
We were talking with a Raiders fan about what's been going on with the Raiders, and I think we talked to him as they were on the cusp of their losing streak. So it was a different conversation than it is today.
A little bit. So here's Seattle's remaining schedule in order: at Rams, hosting Carolina. That's a win. The Thursday night game in Seattle against the Niners. That's basically for the division. Christmas Eve in Kansas City. That's rough. Kansas City's a rough place, period, let alone on a holiday. Then I think
I was saying about,
and then you got the Jets, and then you end the year at home against Seattle. So,
Seattle,
game against the Rams. So you got the Rams twice.
That's
and the Rams have already said that we're not playing Stafford, Kupp, or Donald. So basically, that's a team with zero worrying about getting fired. There's no one losing their job in the Rams. So if we tank the end of the year, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't think they want to play spoilers. I think they want to play with a new shiny draft pick from the University of Alabama.
Oh, you're right.
I'm seeing 5.
I mean, that's what they want to do.
Okay, Bob sees 5.
Oh, I see 5 too. I think the only one you're losing is at Kansas City.
They're going to beat the Niners at home. It's at home.
It's at home on Thursday night. Thursday night almost always goes to the home team as it is, let alone a home team with a good home field advantage. That might be of all the games, the 12th man's most why they won that game. The only one I think you guys were going to have a problem with, like I said, is no one wins a Kansas City, period.
Kansas City.
Let alone on the day before Christmas. So that's the one I'd worry about. I think you guys are just going to destroy the Rams in both cases. And
we've been wrong before, but
we have been wrong before, but we have never been wrong about the Jets imploding. And on New Year's Day, getting the Jets, and they've already benched their quarterback. And talk about someone who's a man-child who's not willing to take the picture. Zach Wilson, he might not even be allowed to come on that flight.
I don't know, man. Mike White looks gross. He looks
the
real
Jets
good.
Are always gross.
Yeah, but Mike White is actually throwing the ball better than Zach Wilson had done all year. And it was shown last year when he played last year, too. He was throwing the ball better than Zach Wilson.
Well, this is a problem that football has in general, really all sports. Once the draft pick's made, it's a sunk cost. We don't need to keep coddling the guy. He was the second pick overall. He's not the best on your team. He shouldn't be playing. And that's the difference between a weak-minded front office and someone who's willing to move on and make something happen. So when, as much as I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach, when he walked in and fired every single one of Gruden's bad early draft picks, people actually applauded it because it's smart. It's moving your team, making it better. Took the Jets forever to realize this. Because if they didn't, they would be on pace to blowing a playoff run, which they're still probably going to do. Except for the fact Miami's in division, and Miami's going to do it harder. And I am going to be on the record on that every single week. Miami is only... I guarantee you Seattle wins more games between here and the end of the year than Miami does. And I'm also willing to bet
I don't think
Steelers
that's wrong.
I know it's wrong. I know it's not wrong. Miami has the most one win left on their schedule. The team that is winning their division right now is going to win one more game.
Seattle I feel like their offense is built in such a way where at this point in the year, they have it together. And they're a team that really has it together.
Yes.
They run the ball.
even though Kenneth Walker didn't do well yesterday, he still got 2 touchdowns. I think he didn't accumulate a lot of yards. I think it was like under 30. But the fact that he has been so good,
yes,
and the fact that Geno has been making relatively smart decisions week after week after week.
yes,
He's had interception issues. Yeah, of course, it's going to happen. The defense, that's the side of the ball that's always been, the Legion of Boom. This is what, Seattle is known for. And they're disappointing a little bit, especially during the game the other day. But the teams that they're facing, none of them have explosive offensive weapons.
You're right. You're right. Now, wait a minute. Let me ask you
Not
guys.
with Cooper Kupp out.
About, that's a big one.
And
let
Allen
me ask
Robinson.
You guys about the bad calls Seattle got. Seattle got 2 bad calls on Sunday.
That they did. That part is true. They also still let up 34 points, though. And that's kind of my answer. Is once we get past 17 points, the refs kind of don't matter.
Yeah. And Joe, we talked about this. My mindset is you've got the lowly Raiders coming in. The mindset, you take them out from the very beginning. You don't even let them think, because those lowly teams, they have nothing to lose, and they're dangerous because they could beat you. You asked Philly about the Commanders, but they've got nothing to lose. And I just thought a little bit, and I was just wondering, was Seattle getting a little, just a tiny bit big-headed? Do you know what I mean? Because nobody expected this from him. And here's this chatter about Geno being, the comeback player of the year, and this and that. And then all of a sudden now, coming out of Germany, going into a bye week, and then coming out, the team is still looking a little sluggish. The defense surprised us a lot. Yes, we got the bad calls, and then, there was the spark, Geno, the spark. But, I'm hoping now that they've come back to earth. You know what I mean? Because you can't get big-headed. Because
here's the thing, Madonna. Here's the thing about Geno Smith is I don't think they were off their rockers, right? I don't think that they were being aloof to what's going on, because I just pulled up Geno's stats, and stats don't speak of the whole game, but just he has had 3 games this year where his quarterback rating has been under 100, and he has had 3 games throwing over 300 yards. And his touchdown interception ratio is 19-5. So that's indicative of me that they're taking care of the ball. And like I said, the interception issues, they're not as much as prevalent as when he was coming in for Russell Wilson last year.
You're right.
And coming in relief whenever Russ was hurt. It's telling me that this offense, and Joe and I always say, when you have a good coach and you have mediocre to good players, your team is going to be leaps and bounds more prepared and better than teams that have talented players and bad coaching.
You're right.
And what we see here is that even though you're nervous about the Rams, and they could very well lose the 2 games to the Rams, I don't see it happening, because I don't see them losing to a guy like John Wolford. No. I don't see them saying, hey, I'm going to overlook the Rams twice, because they actually have a chance to make playoffs. Losing to the Raiders is a blessing in disguise, in my opinion, because now they're going to be like, okay, I've got to take each and every game seriously. I've got this game against the Niners coming up. I got to take Carolina seriously, because Carolina could do something weird. And with the Commanders, and the thing that I told Joe about that game is I said that the Commanders might have a chance to win that game.
Yes.
I said it on air. I said they might have the chance to win this game. Be very, very careful. And the reason I said it is because the players that were playing in the game, they were they're built to take on that specific defense. I mean, you build teams to take on certain other teams that, and they might not perform well in certain respects, but
you're right.
The way that Washington has transformed their season, where they were airing it out with Carson Wentz, it wasn't successful to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're starting to implement more of a running style with Taylor Heinicke doing a lot through the air, but it's keeping it mediocre. Geno Smith is being used so appropriately, and Kenneth Walker is being used so appropriately that with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and they had Marquise Goodwin come in when there was some injuries and stuff. The team on offense is good. It's for once now that we're worried about the defense. Is the defense going to be able to hold that lead, or is the offense going to have to keep scoring? And when it comes down to the teams they're facing, the Niners worry me a little bit because the defense will stop them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Niners offense isn't that good. So
no, it's not.
If they can stop them, it's going to be a low-scoring game like we saw with the Saints and the Niners, where that was like 13-0. That game.
And there's also a very giant difference that needs to be noted. They don't have Devontae Adams.
Yes,
and you're not going to play him again. Period. The season. And I did want to. There's only really one area, the Seattle's offense, that I'm not a fan of. So everything Bob said is correct. They are putting Geno in very high percentage plays, moving the ball downfield. They do not waste a whole lot of time doing wide receiver screens. They'd rather do slants where he's going to minimum get the 5 yards, and then he's going to be moving downfield, which, by the way, when you have a good running game, it's what you should do. Push the linebackers back. Further back they go, the better you're going to be. Arizona still has not figured out that concept. And what I'm loving about this team is how much they're dedicated to the run. And across the NFL right now, every single team that has more than 48% of its total yardage coming from the ground is either winning its division or within a game of its division. And it's just a sign that most teams don't do that. But it's a sign that goes, it works when you do it. Run the ball is a good idea. You hold the clock. Your defense looks better because you don't do anything bad when you're on the bench. Can't lose a fight you don't have. That's 100% true. So the thing that I don't like about Seattle, and this is just having watched the film and seeing it much more this season and year in the past, Tyler Lockett don't want to get hit. Like he will, if there's a first down to be had, but if he's got to drop his shoulder to get it, he ain't going to do it. And to me, that is the weakness of this offense moving forward. And I would really consider just giving the Metcalf the ball every time. In light of that. So that's my fear of Seattle's offense moving forward, because for a team that's so tough and so powerful, to have Lockett essentially crumble stands out so much more. You know, if he was on New England doing this, no one would care. But he's on Seattle, and we're running the ball, and we're playing hard, and it stands out like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, there's just something I don't like about that.
Oh, okay. I got you, because I was just thinking about when Metcalf got the ball and he smashed, it was like boom, because the announcer said, hey, that defensive guy was supposed to do that to Metcalf, but Metcalf just like, hey, boom,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right about Lockett. I don't remember which game it was, but Lockett just got slung down like a little rag doll, and it was like, then. And I think he fumbled the ball, and he was over there on the bench, doing this. Geno came over and said, "Don't worry about it, man." And then he did get a reception later. But yes, you're right about Lockett, and Lockett has had some serious injuries, which I was surprised that he's still playing. But yes, you're right. There are times when those receivers really have to block,
Mm-hmm.
when games, it reminds me of, I think it was the game in Germany when Brady leg whipped somebody, the Seahawks running by, and you're not supposed to do that. But heck, he was, Brady was in the game. Do you remember that when he tripped one of the Seahawks?
Yeah.
You guys remember, but yeah, you're not supposed to do it. And I think it was 15 yards, but you're so in the game. You know what I mean? You're so in the game. Like, shoot, I'm not letting him get by, because you've got that competitive thing in you. And you're right. I had not thought about that with Lockett, but you're absolutely right, because I just thought about Metcalf just smashing that defensive guy, just embarrassing it. Film day, it was like, well, right. When you've got the, announcer saying, what's happening? He was supposed to do that, not the offensive guy, but you're right.
I love everything about Metcalf's game. Every single thing about it. Like he's just, I wish every receiver was built like him. So I gotta ask you this, because you're obviously in the market. Is he a diva, or is he just like a regular dude who's just like, I'm just here to kill you?
I think he's just a regular guy here to kill you. He's got the hair thing going, and sometimes, but I think he's just a regular guy. I know he was got a little something, he wasn't getting the ball enough from Russ, but I just think that he's just a regular guy. He wants to do his job. He wants to be an impact player. I think what I like about him is that when you go back to the play where Buda Baker is running down the field with the interception, and when you watch that play unfold, Metcalf is just kind of there, because you're stunned at the moment, like, what? And then boom, he's down the field.
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm. And and I'm looking at his form like, that's the form I should have.
Well, that shows you that he cares about the team.
Oh, yeah.
When you have Russell Wilson, who didn't care and didn't really want to be there, that probably made DK Metcalf really annoyed, because not only is this guy doesn't care about this team, I care about this team. I care about winning. I care about my money. I care what happens to me. You don't. You're not even giving me the ball, and you're coddling a guy that is making plays that doesn't want to get hit.
Exactly. And then, his stock went up after that. Nationally, his stock went up, because when you can chase down Buda Baker, who was like, I'm going to get 6, got a 6, pick 6. Yeah. And then it's like, do I hear footsteps? Because that's messing with your mind. And dang, I thought I was scot-free, because I remember Buda Baker when he was up here, the Huskies. And yes, and that'll mess up your mind. And then here he is. Metcalf got him, and that is just pure determination and guts. And yes,
you need that.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And yes, looking down the road, Joe, and Bob, at when you've got that kind of determination, and you've got Gino, and just when I read about that thing with Russell and the defensive guy that came over and yelled at him.
Yeah.
And in the conversation, it's, well, he's a professional. He shouldn't have done that. You got to handle that in the locker room, which is right. But when you have players who are so frustrated, and you have that weak management, there you go again. You have that weak management, because I'm surprised the Broncos coach, Haskett, whatever the heck his name is. Yeah. I'm surprised he has not been fired, because some other coaches have been fired. I'm surprised he has not been fired. And you can see how low the morale is on that team when you've got your players acting out like that in public and not caring. And also another thing with the Broncos, I forgot which game it was. Maybe it was a Thursday night game, and the Broncos were going into overtime, You guys may remember who they were playing. They went into overtime, and the Bronco fans were leaving.
That was against Oakland. Yep. Or against Vegas. Vegas, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Against the Raiders.
Yes, that's right. And the fans were leaving. They're going into overtime, but the fans are leaving.
Got to beat the traffic. That's what my dad says.
Yeah, but wait a minute. There's a chance that Denver could, because you've got into overtime. So that's just showing you how low the morale is down there when your team's going in overtime, you're leaving to beat the traffic, and your players are acting out like that. Going over the quarterback, and of course Russ is going to look like, yeah, okay, let's ride. Let's ride.
On that note, we let every single one of our guests, we're going to leave it on some little Russell hay here, but we're going to let you, Madonna, have a chance to take the full screen here, and anything that you want to talk about or promote or anything, the floor is yours, and let's let you have it.
Okay. Just one last thing with Russell before I talk about me being in Pittsburgh, is that I'm sorry, but I cannot unsee or unhear his Subway commercial for the dangerous sandwich. And I'm oh geez, wish I'd never seen it. I've heard the sandwich is delicious, but who cares when you have a delivery like that? The commercial is, and I'm sorry, I've got a fashion background. Yes, I'm going to say this. I've never seen anybody a man in a pair of dark shades and a leather jacket look that uncool. And I'm sorry, that's coming from a fashionista. So anyway, I would like to let everybody out there know that I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, my very first time in Pittsburgh. I am competing in the 2023 National Senior Games, which will be held in July. My expertise is in track and field. I am a 50 and 100 meter specialist, and the track and field events will be at South Fayette High School. So I'm looking at, go Lions. I'm going to be running on your track, and I'm a late in life athlete. I had absolutely no track and field experience till 11 years ago. Something said, run. and I've been running ever since. And as far as Pittsburgh, this will be Pittsburgh's second time hosting the games. They hosted it in 2005. There were 11,000 athletes at 18 sports. And this year, like I said, Pittsburgh will be hosting, and they're looking at a $35 million economic boost. Yes, these games come in for 2 weeks, and usually the economic boost is usually anywhere between $25 and $30 million. So we're going to be spending money. Yes, we're coming and we're spending money. And like I said, I will be there. I'm coming in, I think July 7th or 8th. Who knows? Maybe I'll see you guys. You guys should come out and watch me run. I'm 69 years old, and I'm fast and getting faster. Presently my coach for the last 3 years is an Olympic hopeful, Marcus Chambers, who is a 400 meter specialist. And we have our own story. We've got quite a bit of media out there because our story is so unique. This young man who, as a favor, decided to help me, a widow, with completing a journey that my late husband, and I had started, and that was to compete in the senior games in New Mexico in 2019. And what started off as a favor for Marcus to coach an older woman, it's like, yeah, just do this favor for us. It has turned into 3 years. And this year, when I competed in Fort Lauderdale for the senior games, was my best trip. That would be my third trip to the national games. And because of Marcus, I went up in my national rankings from 16th to 10th in the 50 meters and from 17th to 7th. So that's quite an impact that he has made on me, his expertise and my desire to excel as this late life athlete. And I continue to learn more about track and field. And I look forward and I hope that Bob and Joe will come out to see me race. They've heard me talk about football, but I think that if they could come out to see me, run over it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Yeah. I just saw you were a 2020 athlete of the month.
Yes, for the National Senior Game Association, I became an athlete of the month. And I'm going to, tell you and your listeners that sometime in life, you have no idea what you're going to be doing. Like, I had no idea that, I would go to the hospital with my husband who was going to have surgery for his third bout of cancer and have a surgeon come out and tell me that, they had to close him up and he only has 2 or 3 weeks to live. Boom, life changes just like that. And one of his final requests for me was to continue racing because we were going to go to New Mexico together because, he'd been with me, his old school ways of teaching me, on the field, how to run. And, now with this new coach, oh God, there's a million drills, but oh, gee.
It's not just running upstairs anymore.
Yes. I had the backpack with bricks and ankle weights with my husband running up hills, doing this and that. And of course, when you have a professional, track and field person, yes, it's, there's lots of drills. But anyway, when you go through an immediate change in life like that, and like I said, my husband's last request was that I continue to run, and I would need a new coach to do that. And then eventually Marcus and I got matched up, and that's part of our story that has been covered locally, statewide, and nationally too. So you just never know what you're going to be doing in life. I had no idea at the age of 69 I was going to be running 50 and 100.
Winning medals
and winning state and national medals. Hey, I got a fashion background, and now here I am, a racing retailer, so
I love it. Racing retailer.
The fast fashionista. And actually my name on Instagram is Madonna, fit, fast, and fabulous. And and the name that I gave for my coach is Marcus, fit, fast, and fine, because he's 28. Yes, so yes. So anyway, like I said, if you guys, I would love it. I'll let you guys know when I'm in town, and I would just love it. If you came by, we could take a picture, you put it up on your website, and
That'd be great.
would absolutely love it.
Absolutely. Yes. So you obviously have our email. We'll go from there. And to everyone out there watching, we thank you for being with us. We'll be with you here for the next episode. As always, click like and subscribe to be the team player.